Hello there and welcome to another edition of the Evening Review. My name is Ogito Greg and in studio with me this evening I have Mr. Ben Schernich. He's the director of the Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia. How are you, Ben?
Thanks. I'm well. Thank you so much.
Good. Tell us a bit about NAFSAN.
So NAFSAN, as you said, stands for the Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia. And alliance means that we are an umbrella body for civil society, academia, and in part also the private sector on issues related to nutrition and well-being, food security. And our main role is not to necessarily implement projects on the ground. That is what our members are doing.
Yes.
So our role is to generate and to share information, to coordinate, which is an often very underestimated key factor, to look for synergies and stuff.
Yeah.
And then to also advocate.
Okay.
Advocate on health and nutrition related issues.
Awesome. You mentioned about generating and sharing information. There's an important study that was just released.
Yes.
And can you tell us about the study and especially about what it tells us about malnutrition here in Namibia?
Yes. So the study that was released, or the report of that study that was released, it's called the SMART survey. SMART stands for a certain type of methodology that has been used. So it's the Ministry of Health and Social Services together with UNICEF and the WHO who facilitated that study in 2024.
Yeah.
And the report just came out 2 weeks ago on the 21st of November. And it basically gives us a snapshot overview of Namibia as a whole, where they went into the different regions and interviewed and got data, all types of data around nutrition, the nutritional well-being basically of the population.
Yes.
And we didn't have that data since 2012. So what Namibia usually did over the past years was to have a demographic health survey, which is also a very costly exercise. But the last Namibian demographic health survey was in 2012.
Okay.
So our last data related to those malnutrition indicators, like stunting, for instance, was from 2012. And the last data on that particular one was 24%, which were 1/4 of all Namibian children, which is already quite high.
Yeah.
And now we have the new results.
And what's the new result?
The new results are actually quite concerning. We've been anticipating that or assuming that it would be like that, but now we have the facts. In terms of stunting, we are now at almost 30% nationwide. That means every third Namibian child is stunted. And some people say stunted is just you're too short for your age, but it's much more than that. Stunting really stands for a chronic form of malnutrition.
Okay.
That means if you are stunted, your brain is not as developed, and your cognitive and other abilities are behind.
Oh.
And you will not recover from that. So basically, you're less capacitated throughout your adult life, and it then can be it influences also then the next generation and so forth.
Would that also impact on your potential economic production?
Yes. So there was actually a very interesting study on that by the National Planning Commission and other partners in 2022. It's called the Cost of Hunger in Africa study, and they figured that at the old rates of 24% stunting, we would have a loss of capital or a loss of income.
Yeah.
Around 5.2% of the GDP. That was in 2016 figures, that was about 11 billion Namibian dollars.
Yeah.
So if you now increase that by inflation and you take the 30% stunting rate, we probably have around 20 billion Namibian dollars that we're losing every year because of malnutrition of a huge part of the population, 1/3 of Namibian children.
Wow. I'm a strong believer that people do things rather than money or equipment or even buildings. You need people to do things. But what you're telling me is that 30% of Namibian children will be less able to do the things as they grow up into adulthood.
Yes.
Because of this.
Exactly. And that is not just really bad for them and their families, but it really impacts us as a nation.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we need to take those studies really as a wake-up call to do something about it.
Yeah.
And it's not just a matter of health, but it's really a multi-sectoral approach where you need to have agriculture, you need to have social protection, because it's not enough to just produce food as a country, but with such inequalities that we have,
yes,
everybody needs to be equipped or have the means to actually buy and access those foods, or to have a backyard garden. For that you need water. So it's a really complex system that needs to bring us as Namibians together, not just the different government entities, but private sector, civil society, academia, to really pull our weight.
Yes,
because this is something we need to stop, and the only or the most effective place where you can stop it is what we call the first 1,000 days.
Okay.
So that's from conception up until 2 years of age. That is really where most of the growth happens.
Yes.
But if you do not have enough nutrition or other support as a child during those first 3 years basically of childhood, then you are stunted. And that's basically where the most impact really can happen, because it's an intergenerational problem.
That's why an alliance is so important.
Yes, so our role as the alliance is to get the players from civil society, academia, and private sector kind of a bit more onto the table, but we are a key link to government, and then also international development partners.
I see.
To really work together on these issues. So our role as an alliance is therefore not to do projects on the ground, but to see that we can create those linkages, and also to really wake up the private sector to see that, because it's also their workforce eventually,
yes.
To really invest
and their consumer
in that.
base.
It's their consumer base, it's the whole economy.
Yes.
So if you don't invest, you basically shoot yourself in the foot if you are the private sector, yes.
Ben, there were some terms in the report that I don't quite understand. Like one was wasting. What is wasting?
So wasted, if somebody is wasted from a nutritionist perspective, you are your weight is not enough for your height.
Okay.
So basically there are different forms of measurements, but if you are this high, there's supposed to be a certain weight that comes with it.
Corresponding.
Yes, corresponding. And that is then basically what's called you're wasted. So that's one way of seeing that a person is not well nourished, because they've grown, but they're too slim or too.
Okay. Another thing that I came across in the report, which was quite worrisome, was the pockets of malnutrition. And they mentioned certain areas, Oshikoto, Ochozonjupa, Musati, amongst others.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the organization, what the alliance has found to be on the ground?
Well, we were not directly involved into the research,
okay.
so there I can only rely on what is in the report. But what they did in the report is to really look into the different regions and different situations in the region, and to kind of inform then also the type of programming or the interventions that need to happen. And what they said about the pockets, meaning there are certain key regions that need our attention. So the 3 regions that you mentioned, plus also in terms of stunting, in Hardap the rate was over 40%.
Sure.
So that kind of should kind of make sure that we prioritize those regions,
yes,
while also paying attention to the nation as a whole, of course.
Yeah. And I think for the nation as a whole, and especially in terms of children, we've got to also look at mothers.
Yes.
You know, women of reproductive age, women that are pregnant and lactating. Those were specific areas that were mentioned in the study. And there was reference to acute malnutrition amongst those women. What is the situation in terms of Namibian women, and especially mothers and mothers-to-be?
Yes. So acute malnutrition is the malnutrition that is experienced in that moment. And as a mother, you are basically responsible to feed yourself and to feed the baby that's either within you still, or after you've given birth, you need to breastfeed that child. So all the nutrition that you basically take in is the nutrition you give to the child.
Okay.
And if the mother is malnourished, that automatically affects the child.
Yeah.
So that is one where mothers really need to be well nourished, and that's also where we as men come in, as partners, as fathers, or the family to support. But also where the employer, for instance, needs to provide support and enough time for mothers to have maternity leave,
Yes.
but also breastfeeding. A lot of women that are employed are not able to breastfeed because the time doesn't allow, and even pumping is also not so easy. Plus, mothers in general need some support because you can easily get kind of think that you don't have enough milk,
Yes.
but then some simple tips like drink enough water or tea or something can be key issues.
Yeah.
But you also need to have really enough nourishment through the food and other things. And another key component is then also that there is some, I call it, some pulling from the industry that wants to sell you baby products.
Yes.
That also kind of bring up convincing arguments that, look, our product is almost better than breastfeeding,
Yeah.
which is complete nonsense.
Yeah.
But still, the advertisement can make it
strong.
come like this,
Then
and
we
it's also
have
costly.
We have to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back to continue.
Talking
about
about commercial baby food products.
Yes.
Yes.
But we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Cool.
Welcome back to the evening review. My name is Ogito Craig. I'm your host. And with me in studio this evening, Mr. Ben Schernich. He is the director of the Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia. Ben, we were just talking about the importance of mothers and would-be mothers getting proper nutrition and food, as well as the impact that the lack of proper nutrition and food is having on Namibia's children. But one of the things mentioned in the study was negative coping mechanisms, negative coping habits. Mm-hmm. Could you elaborate a little bit about what that is?
Yes. So from my understanding, those habits could be what I said about stopping to breastfeed. Yeah. Because I feel like, I feel overwhelmed. It's a really quite an overwhelming experience to give birth. It's a lot of demands on you.
Yes.
So that can lead mothers to just feeling exhausted, not getting the social support, not getting the breastfeeding support, or the support from the employers. But also it could lead to postnatal depression, or coping mechanisms could be to go to alcohol. Uh-huh. So alcohol consumption or smoking during pregnancy, during breastfeeding, also really harms the baby.
Yes.
And then other coping mechanisms also could be to just rely then on breast milk substitutes, the formula milk too early, or to even use other baby products, which a recent study found out that in some of Nestle's products, Cerelac for instance, there are around 10% of sugar in that. Yeah. And the World Health Organization says children should not have sugar in the first 2 years. And the funny thing is they wouldn't even miss it if you don't give it to them.
Yes.
But these are the years, as I said earlier, where we develop. So we also develop our taste buds.
Yes.
So if I give you sugar as a child, as a small infant, then you will create an addiction to sugar and you want to crave for sugar for the rest of your life. But if I give you less, your taste buds are used to less sugar and you will crave less sugar later on. Okay. So this would be also the types of sugar, alcohol, other things would be very negative coping mechanisms, while we have so many other alternatives that are just less known.
Let's talk a bit about better infant and young child feeding practices.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you give us an insight into what mothers and caregivers should be trying to do?
Yes. So I think the very basic one would be really to exclusively breastfeed for the first 6 months.
Okay.
It's also the most cheapest option for mothers. And to continue breastfeeding even after that, for if you can, up to 2 years or longer, while you start giving the child the first foods or complementary feeding. And for that, ideally you give a variety of different foods, ideally different forms of vegetables. They can be smashed and so forth, so the baby can easily eat it.
Yes.
And you should try different foods like 3, 4, 5 times for the baby also, again, to develop the taste buds.
Okay.
Definitely lots of water. If you give juice, mix it 50-50.
Yeah.
I've personal experience of our own kids getting cool drink and asking us to add water because it was too sweet for them.
Yes.
And this is, I think, where we come to the challenges. So a lot of Namibians or women or their partners don't know really exactly what to give a child when and how.
Yes.
And secondly is, do we have enough means to buy vegetables to get that and so forth?
Yes,
and
access.
this is where we access.
Yeah.
Exactly. So availability of food is one thing in the shop, but do I personally have access?
And even to water. I mean, we've got so many settlements all over the country where there's no running water.
Exactly. I mean, yes, if I had the financial means, I can go to the supermarket, and the other opportunity would be to have my garden.
Yes.
But without water, as you said, I can't really have that garden. And there are also other issues like sanitation.
Yes.
If I do not have access to fresh water, I get food poisoning or other forms of bacteria and illnesses through the bad water, or because I can't wash my hands.
Yes.
I get infection, and that also gives me diarrhea and so forth, and my whole nutrition and the nutrition of my child is affected.
Yes.
So this is why, as an alliance, what we really try to emphasize is a multi-sectoral approach, meaning health, agriculture, education, social protection, Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Finance, need to come on board together with the different civil society actors, academia and private sector to really make sure that it's a well-coordinated approach, that people have what they need to become productive and smart and creative citizens.
Talk to us a little bit about sweet foods and unhealthy foods. What should we try and avoid?
Well, I think, as I said, the first years are critical.
Yes.
So avoid giving your child sweets. That can also be really a coping mechanism to stop your child from crying.
Yes.
Try to really use that as a very, very, very last end. Use water, drink water, get the child to use water, and see if you can do less on what we call ultra-processed food.
Okay.
There's processed food, which even can be the meat that you cut and hang up to dry.
Yes.
That's processing.
Yeah.
That's completely fine, and there's no harm in that. That's great. We need to really process and preserve food.
Yes.
But the ultra-processed food is then the deep frozen pizza, the Kentucky fried chickens, and so like the fast food, the stuff we get in the shops or petrol stations, the overly sweet food, and even the beverages. I know colleagues of, or I know people who drink their 2 liters of Coke per day.
Yes, yes.
And this is where it has a lot of energy, but it's empty energy. It's empty kilojoules.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereby a glass of milk, on the other hand, would have lots of different vitamins, minerals, and so forth. So if you also consume only food from one food group or 2 food groups, so that's the starches, the pap, the rice or stuff, and only the meat, that's also just 2 food groups. So rather add vegetables, add fruits, have healthy oils.
Yeah, I want you to expand a bit about that, about fresh fruits, fresh foods, fruits and vegetables, but also about diversified diets and minimum acceptable diet. That concept I'd like to understand better. Yeah.
Yes. So in terms of the diets, what we basically have 4 food groups in Namibia.
Okay.
The staples or the starches, then the proteins, which can come from animal or plant sources.
So it's meat and...
That's meat, but also legumes.
Okay.
Like peas and stuff that have a lot
beans,
of beans.
Oh,
yes.
excellent.
A lot of protein. Then you have the fruits and vegetables. They have a lot of micronutrients. And then you have the fats and oils.
Okay.
So in a way, we say the starches are your go foods.
Okay.
They give you the energies that drive you. Even sugar is a kind of a starch. The proteins are what we call the grow foods.
Okay.
So these are the ones that build your muscles and so forth, especially important for children.
Yes.
The proteins, because they are growing.
Yeah.
And the third one is the glow foods, because those vitamins, they make you glow.
Oh,
they literally make your skin glow,
Healthy,
the eyes, they're
yeah.
healthy. So if you don't have them, you get eye problems or other problems, or your immune system isn't there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is kind of where we say, try to at least have all three plus healthy fats.
What's healthy fats?
The avocados or animal fats would in principle be the healthy ones. The one fats that you have in those ultra processed foods are the ones that are unhealthy. The ones in your pizza or in your burgers. Too fried products are not as healthy.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about hand washing and the importance of those kinds of good habits.
Good habits,
Yeah.
yes. So that is kind of part of the area of food safety, because if the food that I'm consuming is contaminated, I also get sick, and that not only makes me sick, but also inhibits my ability to process the food properly.
Yes, yes.
So hand washing is key, because I'm touching the food, the way which I prepare it, the way I eat it, and then also the way we prepare the food. So you shouldn't mix then the meat with the vegetables when you cut it, prepare it, the way you kind of leave it outside. So there's a lot of areas where food can be contaminated. But hand washing is really the main key thing that I can take responsibility of myself. However, lots of households don't have access to water.
Yes.
And this is really where the multi-sectoral approach comes in, where we do need access to water in and at every household, and not just a kilometer away, but as close to the houses, and ideally within each and every house as possible, so people have access to fresh water to wash hands, to drink, and all of that.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Ben, with the insights that the study has given you, and in terms of the Alliance, what do you think are your next steps, and what do you think Namibia should prioritize as a country?
Thanks. So for us, as I said, it's a wake-up call. Increase in stunting from 24 to 30%. That should be a red flag, a warning light.
Yes.
What we have noticed is we have a brilliant food and nutrition security policy as a document that outlines how the different sectors can work together. But what has not been prioritized yet is coordination. So meaning you need to have people from those different sectors who sit together and who make sure that not just at national level, but in the different regions, and you highlighted those pockets of malnutrition.
Yes.
So we need to really do something about it at a regional and at local levels.
Yes.
So there we need to make sure that people from those different sectors plan together, implement together, evaluate together, and that make informed decisions. And for that you need to prioritize coordination from the highest level. In the moment the policy is under the office of the Prime Minister.
Okay.
So for them to really prioritize and put together a coordination unit that is strong enough with 4, 5, 6 different people from different sectors and different stakeholders. So we're also happy to come on board there to really make sure that we coordinate those actions and to bring those numbers down. We've recently visited Zimbabwe and Zambia, and we could see there were food nutrition councils established not to implement, but to just make sure that those responsible implement, to coordinate, and there you can see the results actually.
Awesome.
So learning from those countries, having conversations with key decision makers, that would be our next steps.
Okay. We're almost out of time. Would you like to give a last message to our viewers?
Yes, so take please from this study and what we discussed, that nutrition is really crucial, especially at the young age. If you are a parent, whether a father or a mother, pay attention to your children, that they are well fed, that they're healthy fed, that they drink a lot of water, less sweet stuff. Play with them, because it's also that, it's enjoyable for you as a parent to connect to children, but it's for them to really learn so much from you as a parent. So pay attention to those early years. and try to really stay healthy and well.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining us on the Evening Review. That's all we have time for tonight. But tomorrow night there'll be something else for us to discuss. Until then, good night.
Good night.